Is everyone ready? Okay. You ready, Rob? Okay. I'd like to call the Monday, September 19, 2022 Oakwood City Council meeting to order. Would you please rise and join me with the pledge to the flag?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May I have a roll call, please, Lori?
Mayor Duncan?
Here.
Vice Mayor Byington?
Here.
Mr. Stevens?
Here.
Mrs. Hilton?
Here.
And may I have a motion to excuse Councilmember Turbin, who is out of town on business?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. I'd also like to report that our city manager is not here this evening. He's at the International City Managers Convention in Columbus, Ohio. And filling in his stead is Carol Collins. And we welcome you, and we know that you will handle these duties greatly. All right. Do we have a report on the minutes of our August 1st, 2022 regular session, work session, and executive session, our August 15 work session and executive session, and our September 12 work session and executive session? Councilmember Hilton.
Yes, Your Honor. I've reviewed the minutes from all 7 of those meetings, and I found them to be correct and complete, and therefore I move that they be adopted as written.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. So ordered. I have one status report this evening, and it is recognizing September as Library Card Sign-Up Month. Whereas libraries and librarians play a crucial role in the education and development of children, and whereas librarians are literacy experts, offering everything from preschool story hours to summer reading clubs that sustain school year learning. And whereas libraries provide a learning environment that fosters joyful exploration, encouraging students to research subjects that they are genuinely curious about, and whereas librarians create welcoming and inclusive spaces for all people of all backgrounds to learn together and engage with one another. And whereas librarians provide a variety of books and resources to serve everyone in the community, making knowledge and ideas available so that people have the freedom to choose what to read. And whereas a library card empowers all people to pursue their dreams, explore their passions and interests, and find their voice. And whereas libraries are constantly transforming to deliver new services that connect closely with community needs, even during a pandemic. Now therefore, by the power vested in me, I, William D. Duncan, Mayor of the City of Oakwood, proclaim the month of September as Library Card Sign-Up Month in Oakwood, Ohio, and encourage everyone to sign up for their own library card today. And it's free, correct? The librarians are back there. Okay, they're shaking their head in affirmative. I have the copy of this proclamation. If you'd like to come up, I'd like to present it to you. And if you want to say a few words to council, that would be perfect.
These are our 2 library ambassadors, Ellis and Caroline. They were the highest reading kindergartners in all of Oakwood during Summer Reading Club.
And you may notice they have lanyards on because they are library ambassadors. Every class, every grade has a couple of library ambassadors, the top readers, to let their classmates know all about the library. So
Very cool.
They've been hand-selected, and we're very proud of them.
We have an estimated 20 hours and an estimated 18 hours of reading during Summer Reading Club. No, I mean,
That's
she's
an estimated
fast.
15 more than you.
We also have approximately 14,000 library card holders at the Reading Library, 1,800 of whom are children under the age of 18. And we've had over 100 people sign up for library cards in September alone. So we hope anybody here who doesn't have one will come join us at the library to get one.
Great.
Thank you. Would you a picture with you? We do.
All right.
$1 billion books. That was
Gotta
good.
figure out how to get Councilmember Stevens signed up for this reading program.
Exactly.
Easy now.
All right. We have, this is the visitors section of our meeting, and we have a special guest, I believe, Chris Mackey, who is with Big Brothers and Big Sisters. Welcome, Chris. If you could state your name and address for the record, we'd appreciate it.
Absolutely. So Chris Mackey with Big Brothers Big Sisters Miami Valley. I do live at 214 Peach Orchard Avenue in Oakwood,
Great.
but Big Brothers Big Sisters Miami Valley serves a four-county service area.
Mhm.
We're just waiting for this.
Okay,
to
you have a,
load.
okay.
So again, Mayor Duncan, council, fellow citizens, thank you all for having me here. And Chris Mackey with Big Brothers Big Sisters, we serve around 500 youth in that four-county service area that I just talked about. And I wanted to talk to you today to start off, next slide, about mentors in your own lives. So I'm guessing that most people have had someone in their own life, professionally or personally, who served as a mentor for them. I'll very briefly go back to, we just had a couple kindergartners in here. When I was in first grade, I still remember stepping onto the bus, and I had a big buddy who was in 8th grade. His name was Brian. And this guy stood about 15 feet tall to me. And I still remember, I don't remember the details, but I remember, couldn't find a seat. Brian waved me to the back of the bus. I was a first grader. I got to sit in the back of the bus, which was pretty amazing. And I remembered that, and I remembered the feeling of importance and the feeling that there was somebody who was looking out for me. And that was an important feeling when you're a young person. And that's kind of what we want to talk about today. So, next slide, please. So Big Brothers Big Sisters creates and supports one-to-one mentoring relationships that ignite the power and the promise of youth. And the vision of Big Brothers Big Sisters, and I love our vision, is that all youth achieve their full potential. Basically, we want kids to be successful in life. And we go about that through two ways. I did forget that you gave me the clicker now, didn't you? So two primary programs. We have a community-based program, which, as the title suggests, takes place in a community setting. And in that community-based program, we match adults 21 and up with youth, usually ages 6 to 14. They meet on a regular basis, usually about 4 to 8 hours a month, doing fun, safe activities. So going to the park, playing a board game, getting some ice cream. And in the meantime, focusing on academic, social, behavioral goals. We also have a school-based program, which again, as the title would suggest, takes place in a school-based setting, meets during the school year, either at the child's school or after school, focusing on academic goals, greater self-confidence, things along those lines. And so a little bit about who littles are and who bigs are. Littles, again, are the kids in our four-county service area, Miami, Montgomery, Greene, and Preble counties. They're typically ages 6 to 18, and they do come from diverse backgrounds and experiences. Some kids in our program are, for example, part of a big family. And that family believes that a one-to-one mentorship with an additional positive adult role model would make a difference. And then some kids in the program have been through a lot in their young lives. We're bigs. Because we do have a lot of littles in the program who've been through a lot, and some people might be thinking, I might not be a great fit for Big Brothers Big Sisters because I don't know, I'm not a professional therapist or a social worker. Bigs are members of the community. Any members of the community who feel interested in making a difference in the life of a young person. Bigs are safe. Big Brothers Big Sisters prioritizes youth safety over everything else. Bigs are consistent. First of all, because it takes time to build that mentoring relationship, and also because some, not all, but some of the kids in our program have had adults come in and out of their lives, and so having that stable, consistent, positive adult role model can make a big difference. Bigs are fun, they're authentic, they do stuff they enjoy. Again, in our community program, if you want to go fishing with your little, you can go fishing. If you want to play board games, play board games. And bigs are trained. A couple things that bigs are not. Bigs are never meant to be imposing their values on the littles in the program. We're not meant to be saviors and saving kids from themselves or their families. Bigs are not replacement parents or guardians. Bigs are not disciplinary. They're people who want to make a difference in a constructive, conversational way with their little. So just a few data points from our national organization. Youth with a mentor are 46% less likely to use drugs. They've stated that they're 90% more likely to, that they have improved grades. 90% have said that they have that. This last data point I really like, especially in light of the recent pandemic, or knock on wood, the pandemic, and the social isolation that resulted from that pandemic. A lot of kids were negatively impacted by the pandemic and going to school virtually. 86% of the kids in our program said that having a mentor in their life helped reduce the depressive symptoms that they had. That's a big deal in light of everything that kids have gone through recently. So I got two numbers for you. First is 1. It takes about an hour a week to be a big sister or a big brother. We ask for a year-long commitment to be a big. We ask for about 4 to 8 hours a month for bigs and littles to meet. That translates out to about 2 hours a month, or 2 hours twice a month, an hour a week. So that's all it takes to be a positive role model in the life of a kid. And 34. We currently have 34 kids on our wait list, some of whom have been waiting for over a year. One individual has been waiting for about 2 years for a big brother. And so if anyone in the community is interested in being a role model for a big brother or for a little brother or a little sister, I encourage you to learn more about our organization. I've provided some contact information here. I'll have some business cards available. But if anyone does have any questions about Big Brothers Big Sisters now, I'm happy to answer them.
Any questions for Chris?
Yeah, I do. I have to ask the obvious question. I'm assuming you do recruit bigs besides coming to council meetings? Only the reason I'm asking that is how can one kid wait 2 years for a big?
Understood.
Is it more specific a reason why he's waited or she? I don't remember if you said he or she. I'm sorry.
It is a he.
Okay.
And so there are a number of reasons for that. One of them has to do with the pandemic and the resulting sort of temporary decline in services we're able to provide in the community. And to be honest, one of the reasons is that we do and we have had a need for big brothers over a long period of time. Traditionally, every Big Brothers Big Sisters organization that I talk to, and the one here as well, there's always a number of little brothers on the wait list. And so we are actively recruiting bigs, and we're working to recruit them, and we are doing some other things. I was just on UD's campus today talking about Big Brothers Big Sisters. But unfortunately, there is a need for big brothers. And then on top of that, we want to make sure that the mentoring match is going to be successful as possible. And so we do our due diligence when it comes to matching bigs and littles that we feel are going to be a good fit. And so if we don't find someone if we find somebody or can't find a good fit for a little, we don't match the big and the little just because that little's been waiting. But we do we do work to try and get kids off the wait list.
Good. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Any other questions for Chris?
So Chris, how does a child get into the program? I mean, does somebody recommend them, or their therapist, their parent, their teacher, or how do they even know to ask for, for a big brother or big sister?
Sure. So first of all, Big Brothers Big Sisters mentoring is free of charge to the families and the littles that are in all of our programs. And littles come into the program through a large variety of ways. Some of them come through the juvenile justice system. Some of them come from school counselors, professional counselors. Some of them come through parents who, again, say, your traditional parental household, but it's a big family, for example. And the parents feel that having that additional one-to-one mentor will be beneficial for the child. And then there are other different families, single-parent households, foster families that learn about Big Brothers Big Sisters and sign their little up for the program. And we do only accept, by the way, littles who want to be a part of the program, who want to have a mentor.
Thank you.
I know I had a former employee in my CPA firm that she became a big sister, and she had no particular training or skills, but she thought it was extremely rewarding, not only for the little, but for herself. And she had no children, but it's clearly a great organization you have, and if there's anything that we can do for the city to get the word out, we're happy to do that for you.
Wonderful. Thank you all very much for hosting me today, and we are here just to raise awareness about the program. I know it's been around a long time. People are kind of aware of it, but just keeping it on people's minds and making sure they're aware of it. And if they're interested in being a mentor, we'd be happy to have them.
Okay. Thank you very
Thanks,
much.
Chris.
Thank you. Next, we have our July and August Beautification Award winners. If my recollection is correct, you're going to show a video of the awards winners. I'm going to then come down and name the person's name and address, and we have at least a handful of folks here that came to personally get their little proclamation and recognition. And I look forward to doing that because it's been a long time since we've had the opportunity to do that. So that's one of the best parts of some of our council meetings. It's really fun to see eyeballs looking at us because many days we're here and nobody's looking at us. So I'll turn it over to you, Lori. one more or two more? Two more? One more month, September?
No, we're finished.
This is it. Okay, so we had April, May, June, July, and
Yes.
August. Cool.
No, May, June, July.
May, June, okay, I'll get it straight. Okay, we have 8 property maintenance districts in the city of Oakwood, and they are in the same line as our voting precincts, and we have 3 citizens that volunteer to serve in each of those precincts. And assisting me tonight is Chuck Ellis, who's the new chair of the Property Maintenance Board, and he's back in the corner. And so I'm going to come down front, and I'm going to read the names and addresses of the people, and then if you're here, you can come up and I'll hand you your award, and if you are not here, watching at home, we'll make sure that we get your award mailed to you. So, Chuck, come on down and join us. Kip Bohatchee was, I think, involved in this for many years, and yes, many years. So we'll go with the July winners first, and they should be in order, and they are. So if you want to, so what we have is a picture of your home, and it's signed by Chuck and me, and Norb, the city manager. Cool. First winner is Ernest Scott Riling and Lisa Surmeal, 230 Haver Avenue. We will get that to them. Our next award is James and Julie Biddle, 331 East Shantz, and they are here. Welcome, congratulations. Congratulations. We have Gary and Joyce Boynes, 197 Lookout Drive. Next, we have Scott Failer, 295 Hathaway Road. We'll get that to him. We have Richard and Jenna DePrado, 150 Lonsdale Avenue. These are in the same order if that was on the video, if you figured out the method of my madness. Or actually, I'm just reading what they're telling me to read, right? Okay. We have Amy and Jamie Lewandowski, 20 Telford Avenue. We have Andrew and Ann Jones, 241 Monterey Avenue. We have Doug and Ellie Hammer, 1916 Far Hills Avenue. Michelle Owen, 25 Triangle Avenue. Nicholas Klimkowski, 422 East Drive. Jean Erskine, 210 Greenmont Boulevard. Jean is here. Congratulations. Burton and Linda Mayhew, 2222 Coolidge Drive. Tracy Schulman, 2415 Roanoke Avenue. And Stephen and Carolyn Harmon, 95 Foyer Road. That was the house that told you where the ferries are. That was a good one. I walked by that on the way down to How Extreme. And our August winners, Kevin and Deborah Riley, 401 East Shantz. Kevin and Deborah are here. Congratulations. James and Alicia Dunlap, 226 Collingwood Avenue. This one's going to be a good one. John and Wendy Ukavalis. Did I do that right? Close? Did I pronounce your last name correctly? Great. Congratulations. And we have Bill and Donna Meyer, 400 Lonsdale Avenue. Congratulations, Bill and Donna. Bill also volunteers on our Citizen Budget Review Committee. We just had him here for a meeting earlier this week, or last week. Stephen and Linda Sue Charlton, 335 Aberdeen Avenue. Ann Case, 241 East Peach Orchard Avenue. Joe and Diane Scott, 249 Clarana Avenue. Eric and Courtney Deutsch, 106 Spirea Drive. Scott and Barbara Reif, 138 Greenmont Boulevard. Kurt and Lisa Sanford, 120 Park Road. Stefan and Sharon Newmeister, 2415 Hillview Avenue. Jim and Carrie Lenart, 125 Wisteria Drive. Zach and Lauren Wessner, 819 Harmon Avenue. And our last winner was Pat and Jen Prickle, 930 Harmon Avenue. So let's give everybody a big hand again. And Chuck, thank you for your efforts on behalf of our city as well. I know one thing that particularly impressed me was the creative use of small spaces. And the landscaping is obviously incredible, but just the way people can take certain parts of their home and the porches, you know, just how they decorate the porches. That's very impressive, so appreciate that. So we are still in the visitors section part. If anyone else wishes to address council on any other matter, this would be the time when you would come to council, to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and we would welcome you. I think everyone, we've had one speaker and 3 award winners, so we appreciate that. So we will close the visitor section and go to legislation. And this is the Vice Mayor Byington hour. He has, okay, he has several resolutions, and I will turn it over to Vice Mayor Byington. Welcome. You all are welcome to stay, but if you want to leave, that's fine. That's fine with us. We're used to speaking to an empty room.
Determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor. Each tax year, the Montgomery County Budget Commission is required to certify its determination of the millage rates and amounts the city will receive from its existing property tax levies. From 2022 through 23, the Budget Commission has determined that Oakwood will receive $1,267,660 from inside millage and $1,550,806 from outside millage tax levies. These figures are consistent with the city's projections. This is an annual resolution to accept the county's determination, and I make the motion that council accept the resolution this evening.
Do we have a second?
Second?
Any questions or comments for Vice Mayor Byington? Hearing none. Lori, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Duncan?
Yes?
Vice Mayor Byington?
Yes.
Mr. Stevens?
Yes.
Mrs. Hilton?
Yes.
And now you have an ordinance.
Yes, this is to amend Section 1 of the 2022 Original Appropriation Ordinance Number 4947 and any existing supplemental thereto to provide for the appropriation of an additional amount of $120,000 to be expended from the Capital Improvement Fund for engineering costs related to the traffic signal system evaluation and master plan project. This is a supplemental appropriation ordinance related to traffic signal system engineering. The city has 27 signalized intersections, each of which is a critical component of the city's transportation infrastructure and must be maintained and upgraded from time to time. This year's budget included an objective to develop a multi-year plan for rebuilding our traffic signal system. In evaluating our needs, the city manager determined that it would be prudent to maximize federal and state grant funding to assist with the implementing a multi-year plan to rebuild the signal system. In order to accomplish this, he has recommended that the city engage professional traffic engineering consultants with experience and expertise in evaluating existing traffic signal systems, designing new systems, and pursuing grant funding. This supplemental appropriation will authorize an additional amount of $120,000 to be expended from the Capital Improvement Fund for these engineering services. I move that council waive the second reading of this particular ordinance and adopt it this evening.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Because we're waiving the second reading, it will require a unanimous vote of council. Any questions or comments for Vice Mayor Byington? Hearing none, Lori, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Duncan?
Yes?
Vice Mayor Byington?
Yes.
Mr. Stevens?
Yes.
Mrs. Hilton?
Yes.
Thank you. I think you're back to a resolution
Yep,
again.
another resolution, and this one is authorizing the city manager to execute 3-year collective bargaining agreements with the Fraternal Order of Police, Oakwood Lodge Number 107, representing public safety officers and lieutenants. The current collective bargaining agreement covering our public safety officers expires on October 26, 2022, and our current agreement for the public safety lieutenants expires on November 3rd of 2022. Labor negotiations are often lengthy and sometimes costly, but during this bargaining cycle, the parties were able to come to terms for the new 3-year agreement for both the public safety officers and the public safety lieutenants. Council is pleased to report that this occurred through a series of productive and thoughtful discussions without the need for formal processes, resulting in an agreement that is beneficial to the city, to our public safety officers and lieutenants, and to our residents and businesses. Mayor Duncan and myself have reviewed the new agreements as members of the council's finance committee, and this resolution will authorize the city manager to sign them. We would like to commend Chief Alan Hill for his efforts on the city's behalf, and also our public safety employees for their help in coming up with these agreements. I move that council adopt this resolution this evening.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments for Vice Mayor Byington? I would only like to add that this is a really big deal, and Chief Hill deserves an enormous amount of credit, as well as the leadership of the FOP Lodge that represents our public safety officers and also our lieutenants. And we're very happy to be able to do this, and I think this is the first time we've done it before the contract actually expired, is my recollection. Maybe one other time? It was, right, okay, and so it's incredible from what I recall in the past. So everyone should be grateful that not only do we have great leadership at both the FOP and our command staff, but we have and continue to have the finest group of public safety officers in the Miami Valley, if not in the entire state. So with no other comments, Lori, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Duncan?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Byington?
Yes.
Mr. Stevens?
Yes.
Mrs. Hilton?
Yes.
And I believe you have one more resolution.
And the final one is also regarding collective bargaining. This is a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute a 3-year collective bargaining agreement with the Ohio Patrolmen's Benevolent Association, representing the public safety dispatchers. The current collective bargaining agreement covering our public safety dispatchers expires on November 3rd of 2022. As with the officers and lieutenants, the city entered into informal discussions with the Ohio Patrolmen's Benevolent Association, which is the union representative for our public safety dispatchers. We are pleased to report that these discussions were just as productive, and we have come to terms for a new 3-year agreement without the need for formal processes, benefiting the city, the safety department, and our residents and businesses. As before, Mayor Duncan and I have reviewed the agreements as members of the council's finance committee, and this resolution will authorize the city manager to implement it. Again, we commend Chief Alan Hill for his efforts on the city's behalf, and also our public safety dispatchers for their help in coming to this reasonable agreement. So I make the motion that council adopt this resolution.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments for Vice Mayor Byington? Again, I would add that, we have our own dispatch staff that are here 24/7. They know where every street is in the city of Oakwood, and they can, if you have a call to our dispatchers, they can have service on the way, generally within 2 minutes, whether it's a police incident, a fire, or an EMS. It is unheard of in this area as well as the entire state. And again, commend the dispatchers for their faithfulness to our citizens.
Yes.
Hearing no other comments, Lori, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Duncan?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Byington?
Yes.
Mr. Stevens?
Yes.
Mrs. Hilton?
Yes.
That concludes our legislation. You did an excellent job, Vice
Thank
Mayor
you.
Byington. And we will now have a staff report from our Director of Public Works. Welcome.
Mayor and council and staff. My pleasure to give you an update about 6 months ago. I'd like to start out with our annual street resurfacing program. This program is one that's very popular and visible throughout the community. It affects a lot of people. This year we were able to do resurfacing of asphalt pavement on Vestchance Avenue completely. Have a new thermoplastic pavement markings as well as the new loop detectors on that road. Del Park Avenue, Beverly Place, small section of Catherine Terrace, Park Road, the public portion, Little Woods Road, alleys that were mainly focused in the southeast portion of town, and the Krager Field parking lot. The total cost for the project was about $435,000. This was a project that we experienced something that we had heard about, but we hadn't experienced in our own. We did not get any bids for our sidewalk, curb, and apron project, which was a first for us. We were very successful in negotiating with one of a bidder that we had worked with previously. They were full for the summer. We ended up convincing them and negotiating with them very reasonable bids for work starting this fall. And I'm happy to report that we did get underway on August the 29th. We're working currently on Harmon Avenue. We're on Oakwood Avenue and Park Avenue as well. They'll be in the northwest part of the city this year. Next year we'll move to the southwest part of the city, all on the west side. Estimated cost of the project is $265,000. Recall last year we had a large project, our grand opening of the Recycle Center. The Recycle Center had been housed for years at the dog park, and we moved it to the front of Public Works for the grand opening on November 4th last year. Very popular with the residents. I always had heard that, and I have seen a lot of people at the dog park, and we knew that would be a good thing to split those two because both of those are very, very popular. When this is right out of our front door, we're looking at it all the time when we're driving past it. There's somebody there literally all the time. It's worked very well. We have circulation for multiple vehicles stopping, loading, unloading different items. So in the picture there, this is a drone shot that we took last year. We still accept the yard debris, which is on the left-hand side of the slide. The two small little dumpsters right there are for seasonal. This happened to be for string lights. We also do styrofoam recycling in cooperation. We also have a commingled recycle dumpster right in the middle. That is for the same type of material you can put at your back door. And then the four dumpsters on the right with the platform, that's very popular. A lot of times on weekends we'll add a fifth or sixth dumpster because it gets very full. That's for cardboard. We did install video surveillance to ensure that there's compliance, and it's worked very successfully. Take a look at the items, especially in the commingled and cardboard. And I'll let you know a little more about the cardboard here on the next slide, but we want to make sure that those are very clean. Cardboard is a little bit later. Talk about cardboard. Vectren. I was pleased to report last week at the BRC. There is an end in sight for the Vectren gas line improvement project. This is the project that started in 2010. That's in our community, or every neighborhood in our community. Vectren is scheduled for completion in 2023, so just about one more year.
This is the project that removes the old bare steel cast iron lines, removes the meters from inside the home to outside the home, and it will literally affect every home in the city of Oakwood. This year, we had 4 main areas. This is the northeast part of town: Patterson Road, Schaefer Boulevard, Hathaway, Woodview, Oakwood, Collingwood. That work is complete. This is the project that everybody sees currently. This is the one we knew would require a lot of coordination. It has impacted traffic. Traffic is still mobile, but it does restrict it down to 1 lane commonly. This is on Far Hills Avenue. They started at the north end around Patterson Road, worked their way south. We were happy to get them primarily completed when school started because of the heavy student traffic. They are still working south. They'll be working their way south down to East Drive towards the end of this fall. That work is still underway. Project areas C and D are very close to each other. This work is still underway as well. This is on Ridgeway, Woodstock, Devereaux, Harmon, Raleigh, Ashridge. Work is still underway in that area. And then there was a small piece on Oakwood Avenue, Briar Hill, and Thornhill. That work is that's also underway. So by the fall, they should be wrapping up these projects. And then, again, next year, they will be wrapping up the bare steel project. They will still have continuing maintenance, as we expect, throughout the city. But the large projects that they've been working on for the past almost 14 years will come to an end. So the additional projects, very typical projects that we have: the pavement marking, that's the paint retracing that we do throughout the city. We have the traffic signal conflict monitor testing. That's something that's internal to a traffic signal. It's just a testing device to make sure that our traffic signals are functioning correctly. We also have the asphalt pavement rejuvenation, that's what we will be completing yet this fall. Far Hill Storm Sewer Reconstruction Project, that's the large project we've been briefing council on. We are just finishing plans with the consultant. We've applied for grant funding through the Ohio Public Works Commission. We'll find out later this year, probably towards the end of December, whether or not we're successful for that project. We plan to go out for bids probably the first of the year, secure a contractor. We have quite a bit of work to do yet to finalize the project, but that will be a project that's right south of the high school on Delwood. It crosses Far Hills right around Delwood. It goes down and outlets on Devereaux Drive. Public Works Storage Facility. This is a picture I just took today. They're just finishing up. The electric was completed last week. We got our occupancy certificate for it. Leisure Services is moving supplies in as we speak. So it's going to be a very nice facility. It's a 40 by 90 pole barn. It has six bays, as you can see. It will provide a lot of storage, cold storage for that facility. Also the smoke trailer we intend to put in there. It's going to be a very nice facility. This is right around back of Public Works. Let's right up to the dog park. Some capital equipment purchases. So you'll see a theme here, and I think you probably will recall some of these purchases we started quite some time ago, even in 2021. The refuse packer truck number 2, I'm proud to say we got that finally delivered, and that is in service since about July. So we have 2 brand new packer trucks out there. We're working on a backup. What we thought would be a backup, our plan kind of failed on that because we had a pretty early failure. I shouldn't say early failure, it's a 2020 year 2000 truck. Our backup plan, we had to kind of make a new plan for next year. Dump truck, we have received the cab and chassis, but we have no plow, we have no dump bed, so we're waiting. You had to wait for the cab and chassis, now you have to wait for the dump bed. So that truck is here, it's just not quite in service. We hope that it could be in service as soon as the end of this year. That purchase was about $141,000. Pickup truck, we still have not seen the pickup truck. That seems to be one of the hardest pieces to get is a pickup. Sidewalk tractor, we did receive 1 sidewalk tractor just last week. Pavement roller, we did receive the pavement roller. Purchase was about $27,000. We have a floor sweeper and scrubber, It's like a small Zamboni-type machine for our Public Works Center to keep the floors clean. Our old unit, primarily from all the debris and the salt that gets in there, they do deteriorate over time, and so the undercarriage on that was at the end of its useful life. So we've ordered another one of those units. We expect that at the end of December. And our front end loader, what we commonly use to pick up all kinds of yard debris, leaves, a machine that goes out every day, more than one of them typically. We did replace one of those loaders for almost $84,000, and we did receive that. A few more items. We had the new mini trucks that we're using for scooters. We received 2 more of those units, so we now have 6 of those in service. They're working very well for us. They're each about $22,000, so 2 of them we purchased this year. Packer refurbishment. So we intended to refurbish a Packer this year for $60,000, which was just the bed of the truck, the hopper of the truck. One of our trucks that we intended to use was one of the ones that just went down that we replaced. So we're rebudgeting. We're going to defer that until next year. We're going to basically get a new body and put on one of our other trucks that is out of service, the best truck that we had that's still usable for the cabin chassis. So we're budgeting $115,000. I'm sorry, we're budgeting $55,000 for next year in addition to the $60,000 that we had this year. Pickup truck for water, we're still waiting on that. We have minor repairs to the number 6 well field fence that we will be completing this fall. Spring house overhead door, that door had failed. It was original with the plant. That has been replaced. We're also replacing roofs or repairing roofs on the well fields in the Furwood well field. That will be completed yet this fall. And the backhoe we ordered very early in the year. We thought we were going to have that in June, and it has been deferred until the end of the year. That's about a $102,500 purchase. Talking about leaves already, I know at my house I've already collected leaves, so I know they're starting to fall pretty quickly. Our program officially starts on October the 10th, ends on Friday, December the 16th. That's a 10-week program. We hit every neighborhood twice, biweekly pickup for 10 weeks. The schedule is on our Oakwood scene or on our website. You can always call Public Works for an update on where our crews are. We also offer the self-service. At our new recycling center, 24/7 residents can drop off leaves in the yard debris area. Or if they prefer, they can bring them on a Saturday, October 1st, November the 5th, December the 3rd from 8 to noon. And that's during our regular monthly drop-off at Public Works. This is a graph that I started showing some time ago. I think the important thing to take is at least what I take, is we have a very tight trend. It helps us predict the budget very well, as long as our prices do not change. And for quite a few years, the refuse price at $38.25 has not changed. So with our prediction of how many tons we use, we're able to somewhat accurately predict what our budget is. Now, things like fuel, that tends to get us to a point where we can't predict it as well, but at least one of our big knowns is something that we can predict fairly well with the data that we have. We also look at the price to recycle. The recycle price has gone up quite a bit. It has stayed steady for the last couple of years. And when I get to my cardboard slide next, I'll tell you a little bit about our recycling, how we're trying to help that out a little bit. So our price to recycle is $35 per ton, and this thing seems to be going crazy on me. Okay. So our cardboard collection trend. We took a 10-year history, of course, with all the online purchases. It's probably directly related to this. So we are somewhere right around 100 tons per year. This year we negotiated, starting in January with Rumpke, to take our cardboard. So the containers that we have at our recycle center, it's very clean cardboard. We take that now to Rumpke, and they do give us market-based revenue on, it's not,
Sorry.
they give us market-based revenue on the cardboard that we take to them. So far this year, through the month of August, we've collected about $9,900. So that does help offset, not quite the increase that the fees to dispose goes up, but it does help offset it. And since we do have a nice facility to collect that clean cardboard, it makes all the sense in the world to take it to a recycler like Rumpke. Our hazardous waste. So one of the few things that we do not collect in the city through our trash is the hazardous waste. So things like fire extinguishers, batteries, fertilizers, all types of pesticide, household chemicals, those are considered household hazardous waste. There's two options that residents do have to dispose of that. Every Tuesday and Saturday, residents can take it to the Montgomery County Transfer Station on M Creek Lane and dispose of it there for free. Or the Oakwood Rotary has a project. The next event is Saturday, October the 22nd, where they'll collect those. They do this quarterly. You can call the number 937-296-5155, leave a message with your materials, your address, and the Rotary will come and collect those materials. They are free. They do take donations for their projects, but their next collection is October the 22nd for those materials. Looking at our winter operations, we had about 13 events last season, and that's not a calendar year, that's more of a winter season. And currently in storage, we have about 1,000 tons of salt. We did buy salt earlier this year when the price was much less expensive. Prices did go up. I'm sure it's the trucking cost. Our salt cost currently is $83.98 a ton. Last year it was $54.98, so quite a big difference. Our typical year, you can see the last couple of years, one was 639 tons, 822 tons. For a rule of thumb, we say that it's 800 tons per year. So in storage, we have hopefully enough for one whole year. We will obviously have to buy salt, and it is at a much increased price this year. The bid did go out for an option to renew for a second year. Most communities exercise that option, but I think at the end of this year, we'll see what kind of usage we have, if we'll participate with that. But for this year, it's $83.98 per ton. The personnel. Unfortunately, we had two young workers, general service workers. One has already resigned. Levi McMonagle was with us for about 3 years. He left us on August the 19th. And Grant Morton is with us through the end of this week. He was another hire that we hired from Middletown, and he is going back to Middletown to be closer with his family. We did welcome Cade Wallace. Cade was our first part-time employee. He's been with us just for a couple months. He's doing very well. He's primarily working on our ground crew for our yard debris, and we're currently recruiting for general service workers to fill those positions. Yeah. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Any questions for our director?
I do. Doug, is the sidewalk curb and apron on schedule? Since they started later, weather could be a concern. So far, so good?
So far, so good, yeah.
Good.
On schedule, we envisioned it to being done by now. But since we didn't have a bid, I would say we were pleasantly surprised because we thought they might not even get started until next year. So it's good that they've started. They'll work. R.A. Miller's been in this business for a long time. They'll do the appropriate things. We'll stop them if we need to because of weather, but full steam ahead until we can run the weather out.
Good. And then my other question is, this is more of a curiosity thing. The Vectren gas line that's going down Far Hills, which I know is our last, project, it goes to East Drive. So you may not even know this. Do you know, will that pick up something that's already been completed in Kettering, or will they start in Kettering, moving forward?
It typically ties in. I don't recall the plan specifically, but they almost always tie into something that's existing. Just like our water lines, we try to tie those in as well. They do the same thing with their gas lines, so that it can be fed from different directions.
Right, but you don't know if they've completed the upgrade in Kettering or not. Right. We just don't know.
I don't know. I can check the plans and
I was just curious.
Give you an update.
Are we going to have to continue with more construction in Kettering, or is it maybe that might already be done? They may do it in different chunks. I was just curious.
I hope so, because I know Kettering just resurfaced their portion of State Route 48. I think it was last year.
Oh, that's true. Yes, they did.
I hope it's done.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it very much. So we now have Carol Collins on behalf of our city manager with a city manager report. Welcome, Carol.
Thank you very much, Mayor Duncan. Actually, I don't have much to say tonight. It was a pleasure to sit in for the city manager while he is at the conference. And I'd also like to thank Doug and the Public Works Department for the fine services that they provide to the community. I think that the Oakwood residents really appreciate all of the work that Public Works does, and thank you. That's it.
All right, very good. We might have to give a report back to our city manager about Carol. An outstanding job.
Revenue.
All right. It is now time for council comments. Councilmember Hilton.
No comments, Your Honor.
Councilmember Stevens.
No comments this evening.
Vice Mayor Byington.
Only thing I want to do is remind folks that this Saturday from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. we have our public shred event at the Bell Center. So swing by. They're encouraged to leave it in their trunk. Is that correct? So just pull in. The workers there will take it out of your trunk and make sure that it's properly recycled, shredded and recycled.
Perfect. Is that all?
That's it.
you have?
That's all I got.
The only thing I had is, we have a lot of reasons that people are required to get permits in the city, and that is common with other cities around town. I had a business owner who was telling me how it has taken him months and months to get permits out of the county for a brand-new construction project, and it's because they're short of staff down at the county. But that said, we got a really nice note from a contractor here in Oakwood. He said that Ethan Kroger, who does a lot of our permits, and he says Ethan is one of the few inspectors in town that calls people back, answers questions, and works with people to get them what they need. And you don't normally hear positive feedback from contractors wanting to get permits from any governmental agency. So I wanted to give a big shout out to Ethan on that, and we appreciate the job he's doing very much. So that concludes my comments. We have our next regular meeting. It's coming up quickly. It's on Monday, October 3rd, and we are now adjourned.